All right. First things first, Brock. Good to see you. Happy New Year, January 1st. Want to get a
Likewise.
quick video in here just to explain to our Argent Alpha gents what is A3 2.0 and what does the programming look like as we get into this new year. So I wonder if you could just give us an overview of what A3 2.0 is from the programming perspective.
Yep. A3, well, kind of the why behind it, I'll talk about that first. The training in general is to make you as well-rounded as possible, not for just what you see in the gym, but more importantly, what you're doing outside of the gym. You know, some of the different misogis or challenges or events you guys might be training for, just day-to-day life. You know, it's not to make you a better gym monkey. It's to make you better for the things that you're using that training for. So the training is if you take a step back and look at it, we want to try to get you 60 to at most 75 minutes in the gym training on each of the days. Okay, so it starts with mobility and range of motion strengthening. The terminology I always use, or the analogy I always use is picture a chiropractor. You know, when they give you that adjustment, you know, that is in a sense mobility. And when I'm talking mobility, it's things like using a foam roller or ball, lacrosse ball, that kind of thing. That's your adjustment. And then to hold that adjustment so you don't have to keep coming back to the chiropractor is what we're doing with range of motion strengthening. And it's to just really hold those new shoulder positions that you got when you're foam rolling or whatever it is on the hips, you know, so those go in tandem. We always want to start with that. It's a good way to get nice and warmed up and kind of prep all your soft tissue muscles, fascia, all of that. And then we have a quick little warm up, get the core temperature up, get you moving around. And then the strength part of it, or like the meat of it, changes each of the 4 days. We want that to take you anywhere from like 25 to 30 minutes, depending on how much rest that you're taking there. We have a little bit of a burner at the end. What I mean by burner, just kind of elevates the heart rate. Okay, so it's not super highly skilled movements. It's just things that you could do with good form, get the heart rate up, and then if the optional part at the end would be more of the cool down stretching. Think like pigeon stretch, couch stretch, legs up the wall, whatever it is. Really, the difference between the 4 days on the strength portion of it, all of it has a strength background. One day is just purely strength. The next day is strength plus stability. Think single leg movement, single arm movements, not all of that, but as being able to like work on your balance, your coordination, your stability. Day 3 is agility. You know, it's not necessarily all like box jumps or jump roping. Those might be parts of it, but it's things that you're going to do that aren't you need that strength and stability, but this is how you escalate out of that. And that's likely what you're going to see when you're doing events, different challenges, things like that. And then the last day is strength plus VO2 max training. You know, so that's really elevating your heart rate, not the entire time, but focusing on having really good form while you go through elevating that heart rate. So that kind of encapsulates all what you're going to see on a weekly basis.
Totally. That's helpful. What if I'm one of those guys who just does zone 2, low intensity, steady state? Am I hitting all the things that I need to be hitting to be as fit as I can, torch fat, build that muscle, be reaching that longevity goal that I have in mind? Or I think I know your answer. Why would you recommend I layer in the other stuff if I'm just doing all this cardio right now? Aren't I hitting all
Yeah.
the things I need?
Yeah, you're teeing me up pretty easily on this one. So a lot of the guys that have come in through this group in the past couple of years have been really heavily leaning into endurance and cardio and HIIT training and things like that. It's not to say that there's no place for that or that you shouldn't be doing that, but a lot of times it leaves out the strength aspect of it. And to build strength is how you build muscle, or to focus on strength is how you build muscle. When you build muscle, that's how you really kind of recomposize your body. The more muscle you have, the more fat that you just burn off. You know, so that's a piece of the pie and a large piece of it. It's in Peter Attia's framework, the stability and strength part of it are two of the 4 legs, and then add in zone 2, zone 5 cardio that kind of help more on the cardiovascular health and elevating that heart rate. So important for sure, but the aspects that we really want to encapsulate are giving guys, one, how do you move through the specific mechanics or techniques in the different strength and skill pieces of it, but then, helping them to be able to recomposize their body.
Sure, that's helpful. We have guys all across the spectrum, guys just getting started. Guys have been working out in different capacities for years, sports, things like that. So Does the program accommodate different levels of guys, or is it all one size fits all equipment, just one type of equipment prescription or one type of intensity prescription?
Yeah, we have 3 levels here. Think about it from a brand new person coming in or someone who hasn't worked out or just, has been super sedentary for a long time. Level 1 is just going to focus more on getting you moving, working on the mechanics, really good form, strength and stability. You'll have like 4 days of that to choose from. Level 2 is, again, let me back up. Level 1 will be, you'll have 2 options. You'll have more body weight, or if you want to get in some dumbbells in there. So I would lean into body weight stuff right as you're getting started, as you feel more comfortable and can add some different elements, dumbbells in there to add more strength. You can. The level 2 is going to be more on, you have a body weight option, you have a dumbbell option. It'll be more of the strength and stability. And then level 3 is, the getting into some of those components we talked about before: strength, stability, agility, VO2 max. You'll have body weight, you'll have dumbbell options, and then you'll have full gym options. So things that might incorporate barbells or, just different pieces of equipment that if you're going to a gym or have some of the other stuff at home, you can do. Really what we're trying to give guys as well is, no matter if you're on the road, you're working on at home, you're working on at a gym, you have something, you have programming in front of you that you don't have to think about, oh, crap, I'm in a hotel room, what do I do? Or I'm not in my normal setting, not sure exactly what to do. You're going to have all those bases covered.
Totally. That's helpful. Um, quick question, looking in the eye though, how do I know if I'm actually improving?
You could record what you're actually doing in each of the workouts. We have what we call progressive overload. So you're going to see the same movements for the entire month. So for 4 weeks, it'll be the same movement. Progressive overload could be a variety of different things. It could be an increase of reps week over week. It could be increase of weight week over week. It could be longer durations, a mix of all of those things. So being able to make sure that you're progressively overloading your volume and overall training, that's a way to progress. You'll be able to put in your weights or times or movements. You'll be able to see that way. And then taking a step back, something we haven't talked about yet is going through a movement screen. It's, in my opinion, the first step that you should always take. Whether that's online or remote, or if you're in the Minneapolis area, we can get you in person. Either way, we are able to help you no matter where you are in the United States, and it allows us to see, okay, here's how you're moving, here's some impingements or some areas of opportunity as far as increasing range of motion, basically, so you don't get hurt. And then not only that, we're going to point out that, but we're also going to give you some things to work on to improve those range of motion things. And I feel like that is step 1. And then there's different ways to progress out of there as well that we could talk about it either here or later on.
Totally. Kind of intrigued on this movement screen though. Is there a way to watch progress throughout time on that outside of the actual performance in the ever fit weight lifted times whatever? Like, can I know that I'm getting better in my movement throughout
Well, I'm
time?
so glad you asked. Yes, there is. So I mean, when we're going through the movements, it's 13 different movements that we're going to bring you through. We grade them on a scale of 1 to 10, and that 1 to 10 range is the actual range of motion that you have. So we start off head to toe. So let's start off shoulder mobility. Okay, you're at 60% range of motion in your shoulder, thoracic spine mobility. And then we'll touch base on that either 1 or 2 months in, depending on how often you're doing it, what you're working on, and then we can communicate back and forth there on your progress. And then, okay, holy cow, you've increased from 60 to 85% or whatever it is. It could be anywhere along the chain, all the way down the body into the lower body as well. But yes, there's a test, there's a retest, there's things that we'll give you to work on specifically mobility related. But then, one thing that some of the guys in the group will do as well is they'll take videos of themselves. Hey, here's me doing squats. Here's me doing a deadlift or presses or push-ups or things like that. Super, super helpful because I'm able to relate it specifically to your movement. A lot of times I'll text or write whatever the feedback is, the cues that I would put in there. But then a lot of times I'll also send a video of myself doing specifically what I'm talking about. Okay, here's what you're doing. Here's what we want to be able to do. So that's just another way to constantly check in and know what specifically you're doing that is not ideal, and then what we can do ideally to move you out of there.
So I'm a guy who, say for example, I'm at bench pressing 1 time my body weight, deadlifting 2.5 times. I am just on fire right now, and I want to get into the really complex movements. Why would you recommend I do a movement screen if I am that strong already?
Mm-hmm. A lot of times, if you haven't done a movement screen, just because you're stronger, you could go at a really high capacity. It still doesn't reduce your risk for injury. And so that is a lot of times, like I see with high level athletes. I've had professional athletes, collegiate athletes, high level athletes at other levels as well come in, and they're just like, oh no, I'm here, I obviously must move well, and that's not always the case, right? So moving well and going at a really high capacity or just athletically speaking, they're two different things, so if at worst it's going to be, you're going to get a second opinion, hey, you're doing all the right things. I could tell you, I've yet to see that in the many hundreds of these things that I've done. Not one person has walked out of there just like, hey, you don't have anything to work on. So there's always something to work on, to think about, and then we can give you things to measure, specific implements to be able to increase range of motion or strength or capacity or whatever.
Or homework, things like that.
Oh yeah.
In terms of, last question here, in terms of if I've got things I need to work on, we've discovered some range of motion limitations. Maybe I've got specific goals under the 5 pillars: strength, stability, mobility, range of motion, and VO2. If I got any of those, or if I have specific goals outside of just um, general physical preparedness, how do I approach those goals? Do you have any like ways that I can get a hold of you, shoot you a text or something, or anything more formal so I can start reaching those goals and measuring against them?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, there's multiple different things or ways to go about that. Obviously, through the Slack channels would be a really good way to get a hold of us, both Nolan or I. Personal emails, texts, but then we're coaches outside of this too. So a lot of guys in the group and many others outside of the group. We have different coaching services, different levels, different things that different people are training for, and that's the beauty of it. It's largely customized to whatever people are going after, whatever their endeavors are. We help them tee it up and frame it up, and then give you specifics to train on, test out of, or kind of a ramp up process depending on what it is. So yeah.
Totally. Well, Brock, this has been great. I think the guys got a little bit more understanding of why behind this new 2025 A3 2.0 programming. So appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah. Thanks for teeing this up, and I'm excited to have guys to jump into this and just not only see what they're capable of in the gym, see those numbers increase, watch their body fat percentage or body composition change, but also just the things that they're going to be able to use training for outside of here too. I mean, that's really what it's all about.
Totally. See a lot of people doing rucking adventures and big hiking feats in their future. So pretty exciting stuff. Thanks again.
All right, go get them, guys.